I thought I had done everything right. I married the man I loved, built a home with him, and tried my best to be the kind of wife who brought warmth and peace into his life. For the first few years, everything seemed perfect, at least from the outside. But the cracks were there long before I had the courage to admit them. It started subtly. My husband, Daniel, began coming home later than usual. He blamed work, late meetings, traffic. I wanted to believe him. I told myself that marriage required trust, and I refused to let paranoia eat away at me. What hurt more than his excuses, though, was how his mother, my mother-in-law, Evelyn, always seemed to defend him. Whenever I brought up my worries, Evelyn would shake her head and dismiss me. Men work hard, dear. Don't nag him. He's doing it for you, she'd say, her voice dripping with authority, as if her word was final. I didn't realize then that her loyalty wasn't with me, the woman who had left her family to join theirs. It was with her son, no matter how wrong he was. The truth came crashing down one ordinary evening. Daniel's phone buzzed on the kitchen counter while he was in the shower. Normally, I never touch his phone, but something inside me screamed. The message preview lit up. Can't wait to see you tonight. Last night was unforgettable. My hands shook. My chest tightened. I opened the phone. My entire world unraveled in seconds. Pictures, messages, plans. The other woman had a name, Claire, and she wasn't just some passing fling. She was someone Daniel had been seeing for months, maybe longer. When he came out of the shower, I confronted him. I expected guilt, maybe anger, maybe even tears. Instead, he smirked. So what? You were bound to find out eventually. The arrogance in his voice shattered me more than the betrayal itself. But what destroyed me beyond repair was what happened next. Evelyn walked in, as if she had been waiting for this moment. Instead of standing by me, instead of demanding her son make things right, she looked me dead in the eye and said, "If he's happy, let him be. A man's happiness is more important than a woman's feelings." Her words cut like knives. She wasn't just aware of the affair, she was supporting it. She had watched me cry in silence, question myself, lose sleep night after night, all while knowing the truth. And instead of compassion, she offered cruelty. I begged Daniel to choose our marriage, our family, our vows. But with his mother's poisonous encouragement, he grew colder by the day. They twisted everything against me, my emotions, my questions, my pain. Evelyn would tell relatives I was overdramatic, that I couldn't satisfy her son, that I was the reason he strayed. I began to feel like a stranger in my own home. Every corner whispered betrayal. Every meal I cooked, every smile I forced, felt like proof that I was clinging to a life already gone. The woman I had trusted to treat me like a daughter was the same woman who was pushing me out of her son's world. Eventually, I had to make the hardest choice of my life. I left, not because I didn't love him. I did foolishly, painfully. I left because I realized that love meant nothing when respect was gone, and in that house, I had none. Walking away felt like tearing out pieces of my own soul, but it was also the only way to save myself. And as I closed the door behind me for the last time, I whispered to myself words I never thought I'd say. I deserve better. Evelyn may have supported her son's affair, and Daniel may have chosen another woman over me, but I refused to let their betrayal define me forever. Some scars would never fade, but at least now they were mine to carry, not wounds kept open by people who delighted in my suffering. Story, picking up from her leaving, showing both her pain and her eventual rise from betrayal. When I left Daniel's house, I thought my life had ended. I carried only a suitcase and a heart, so heavy it felt like it could sink me to the ground. Nights were the hardest, lying awake, staring at the ceiling in my small rented apartment, replaying every memory. The way Daniel once held my hand in church, the promises he whispered on our wedding day, the times I thought Evelyn's smile meant acceptance, not deceit. I had loved them both in my own way, him as my husband, her as the mother figure I wanted to believe in. Losing them wasn't just a betrayal. It was a funeral for a life I thought I was living. But slowly, painfully, I learned something about betrayal. It forces you to see who you really are. At first, I drowned in anger. I wanted revenge. I wanted Daniel to feel every ounce of shame he had forced on me. I wanted Evelyn to choke on the lies she spread about me. I even thought about confronting Claire, the other woman, and telling her exactly what kind of man she had stolen from my home. But revenge didn't heal. It only kept me tied to them, like chains around my ankles. And I realized they weren't worth the wait. So I focused on myself. I started working again, not just for money, but for purpose. My co-workers didn't know my story, but every smile, every conversation reminded me I wasn't invisible. I took classes in the evenings, things I put aside for marriage, photography, design, even cooking for myself instead of for someone who never appreciated it. And with every step forward, I felt my strength return. One day, months later, I heard through mutual friends that Daniel's perfect little world wasn't so perfect anymore. Claire had grown tired of being compared to me. Evelyn's meddling had turned their relationship sour. The same mother who once encouraged his affair now whispered criticisms into Claire's ear. Daniel was unraveling, and I wasn't there to watch him fall. For the first time, I didn't care. I had bigger things to think about, like the peace of waking up in a home that was mine alone, the joy of seeing my reflection in the mirror and recognizing the woman staring back. The betrayal didn't vanish. It lived in me, carved into my story forever, but it no longer owned me. If anything, it gave me power. Because once you survive the cruelty of the people you trusted most, you stop fearing what anyone else can do to you. One afternoon, as I sipped coffee at my favorite cafe, I realized something. Evelyn and Daniel hadn't destroyed me. They had freed me from illusions, freed me from a life built on lies, freed me to choose myself above all. And maybe, someday, love would find me again. But this time, I would never settle for less than loyalty, respect, and truth, because betrayal had taught me something worth more than marriage vows or family approval. I was enough on my own.